So, a final look ahead to this weekend's football. Some interesting games. Obviously, I'm going to the West Ham against Tottenham game in the London Stadium Saturday at 5:30. I've got to make this video because I was listening to the radio yesterday, and they were talking about the games of the weekend. And it was just a passing line. I thought, what are you even talking about? Because they said, oh yeah, the big London derby this coming weekend. And my ears pricked up. I thought, obviously you're going to talk about West Ham against Tottenham. And they said, oh no, Brentford at home to Chelsea on Saturday night. And I was like, you what? You what? That is like the biggest derby in London this coming weekend is West Ham against Tottenham. I don't know what the hell they were talking about. Some interesting games. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou taking over in Nottingham Forest. He's away at Arsenal on Saturday lunchtime, isn't it? I mean, there's a couple of other games here and there. I think the real interesting one for, if you're a neutral, I think if you're a neutral, you always want to see a bit of a barnstormer of a game. I mean, if you're anything like me, you don't want to see anything that's tight or tactically, great. You just want to see end-to-end stuff, loads and loads of goals. So the biggest game you could say, looking at it objectively, of the weekend is Man United against Man City. I mean, what time is that? Let me just quickly check that. That is, it's coming. Yeah, it's 4:30 on Sunday. So Man City at home, Man United the visitors. But I don't know, if you're looking at that game objectively, it always seems to be relatively tight affairs. I mean, I don't know, I can't remember all the results, and they haven't, neither of them have started great this season. They both look to have problems defensively and can't hold on to leads and that kind of thing. So I thought the opening game of the season, Man City, spanking Wolves, I think it was 4-0. I thought, hey, here's another game, but then they've lost the last two. That's 2 out of their first 3 games of the season. Could it be the Man United go there and give them a bit of a whooping as well? That'd be 3 games. Their first 3 losses, the first 4 games. I mean, very interesting. Look, I mean, so there are a few games this weekend. That's what I'm wanting to talk about. Hey, it's great. It's great stuff. But listen, obviously, the game for me is West Ham. Right, West Ham at home to London Stadium. So there's been at home to Tottenham and London Stadium, but there's a couple of things, right? Obviously, if you've been following along, the board have met with, the representatives of the board have met with the fan groups yesterday, Thursday, whatever it is. A few things have come out now. I think they want to address some of the things that we fans have felt has been totally wrong at the stadium for a long, long time in terms of tourist fans or fans of opposition teams coming in wearing their colours in our seating areas, in our end, or either Billy Bonds, Trevor Brooking, or Bobby Moore, that kind of area, and so where all the West Ham fans are, you get opposition fans there with their colours and being quite vocal about it. So, I'm sure there's all the other channels have talked about this. So I just wanted to make a quick passing comment. So that's got to be stopped. It's almost like you got to give the marshals the immediacy or the urgency or the powers to say, no, you've got to act with immediacy. If you see anybody with non-West Ham colours in there, regardless if it's the opposition. So if you get like a foreign visitor coming over and they're wearing their Barcelona top, I'm sorry, get out. You're not allowed to wear any other colours of any other team where your home nation, where your home team is. It's just, for me, it's ridiculous. You shouldn't be doing it. And at minimum, you've got to keep it covered up. Right, but if you've got other fans in there, they should be booted out straight away. I don't care if they've paid. I don't care what they've paid. They shouldn't be allowed to buy tickets, and they shouldn't be allowed to, wear colours. And if they are buying tickets, then they got to keep their mouth shut. Look, I've been in not our fans stands before. Of course, I have over the years. I'm sure a lot of people have, but you're a bit wise about it. You keep your mouth shut a little bit, right? You just keep it down, and you act as if you're the neutral, unless you're one of those kind of people who likes a bit of a Barney with people. But let's face it, you're on to hiding to nothing there. Probably onto a big hiding, really. And this has happened at West Ham, at London Stadium. Last season it happened. I think there's a few Arsenal fans that, got a bit of a pacing, didn't they? Well, what do you expect? So there's been a few things they've been trying to address. The one of the other things, if you watch me on other channels, other YouTube channels, when I've talked about this in the past, and I don't watch a lot of West Ham stuff, and I'm certainly not on social media at all. So I probably miss out on a lot of information, a lot of news, and it's probably, it might come a couple of days later. So I try and keep ahead of it, but and I certainly don't watch my channel for any new news or anything like that. Yeah, I just come with my own thoughts and opinions, and give it the old what's what really. But I don't know anything or any insider knowledge at all, and I don't have any social media. But I hear that they also been trying to address the old half and half scarves, and I was talking about this years ago, and I was ranting and raving about when these half and half scarves started. And for me, it's quite simple, right? If you go to a game and you want a memento of that game, buy a fucking program. That's it. Buy a fucking program. If you're going there as a neutral, buy a fucking program. That's it. Don't buy something that's a half and half scarf. Now, you've always had memento scarves in, let's say, FA Cup finals, and have, special FA Cup final scarves that you could buy, from the scarf sellers and all that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. But you'd buy it with your own colours. Then they started saying, no, it's a commemorative scarf of the event, and you have both teams on there, which I would never buy. Then it all started coming into a few years ago that these would turn up at Premier League games, or any other game for that matter. So if you're going there to buy these scarves, then I question where your loyalties are. I question what, and if I'd take my lad there, and I would never allow him to have a half and half scarf. I would never allow him to wear any other colours of any other team, and especially the ones that you're going to be frigging playing that day. So, if you want to take your children, I know, look, people got different opinions on it. I'm just giving you my opinion, but if you're taking it either for yourself or you're taking it for your children, whatever, and you're trying to get them into the West Ham as West Ham supporter, or whatever fan you support, or whatever team you're a fan of, right? Then surely you should just be wearing the colours of your team, not the colours of the opposition. I just don't get it. But what's come out of this is that they're going to try and ban, or they are banning, apparently. I don't know if it's just for this game or future games. For me, it's all future games. A half and half scarf wearers, or than half and half scarves in the stands. So I don't know how they're going to police this in broad terms, in terms of the marshal and stewards. If they see somebody with a half and half scarf this coming weekend, what are they going to say? Right, you have to put that away, and you have to, you have to leave. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to ban it. Are they going to stop people walking into the stadium through the turnstiles with half and half scarves? No idea. It just seems, it seems if, okay, this kind of rumour has come out. I don't know how true this is, that they're, talking about opposition fans in our ends, and also half and half scarves. How they're going to police it, how they're going to do it. And for me, they have to take a hard line to say, no, it's not happening. You either go in as a neutral, no colours at all, and you definitely keep your mouth shut if you're opposition fan. That's what you should do, right? You're just asking for bloody trouble, really. But the other thing that obviously we found out this morning, I've literally just found out, is that obviously Paqueta loves us. Apparently, Paqueta loves us. Well, of course, he bloody loves us. Well, West Ham, of course. What's not to love? Look, we always knew there's no guarantee he's going to stay in, but I like the attitude. I like the attitude that it's sort of loyalty shown, and I'm here, and even if I go at the end of the season, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm willing to fight. And I wish a lot more of our players would be like that, and be like that on a regular basis. If we had a lot more Paquetas, hey, bit more consistency, right? Yeah, great. But we had a lot more Paquetas, fantastic. We need these players within our setup. We need these players in the squad who try every game. Yeah, and they don't always get it right, and they have bad games, they have good games, they have the wayward pass, but at least they're trying, at least they're giving it their all. So for Paqueta, for me, was just, It's a nice thing. It's a nice statement that I think he put on his own Instagram. How that's going to, work with the ownership of West Ham, I do not know. I mean, look, we're still looking at, we're still in the throes of this whole chaos between the fan base, the protests, the petitions, everything like that. I'm fully in favour of that. Fully in favour of peaceful protesting, letting your feelings known, trying to get change at the club that is positive change at the club. And, whether these ownership leave or whether they stand down and get somebody else in, whatever it is. What are we talking about in terms of our performances? Listen, if our performances radically improve, and I will take that, first of all, but obviously I want the results as well. But if our performances radically improve on a consistent basis, then I'd be supportive of Potter, right? But if they don't, if he reverts back to type, especially tomorrow, and I made that previous video in terms of what I expect from us, against any opposition, but certainly a team like Spurs coming to the London Stadium, if he kind of goes into a defensive start, 5 at the back, then I just think you got to get rid of him straight away. You've got to get rid of him straight away. And I would not be surprised if he starts up defensively. If we are defensively, the fans are not going to react well to it. They are not going to react well to that. You talk about wanting to get the fans on side. Then you need to be positive with that. And if you can do that, you'll get my support. But if you can't do that, guess what? I'm not going to support something that is not entertaining. Look, I was listening to Ange Postecoglou talk about Nottingham Forest, right? He's just taken over. And he made this statement which I think is, I'm not a fanboy of Ange Postecoglou. I'm not a fan of Nottingham Forest or anything like that. Of course I'm not. But what I'm saying is he made such a great statement that should appeal to every single fan. And he basically said, my style of football, I'm paraphrasing here, but my style of football is that I want the most important thing, that you want to entertain, you want to bring joy to the fans. How fucking refreshing is that? That a manager comes out and says, yeah, my style of football, or whatever it is, I want to bring joy to the fans. The most important people are the fans, so I want to entertain them. This is what we've been saying for years and years and years, right? This is why, obviously before it was officially announced that Ange was going to Nottingham Forest, I was saying I would like Ange at West Ham. Can you imagine if we got him and then all of a sudden we hear that as a fan base from our manager, and you say, hold on, he wants to deliver that football. Whether he's successful or not is another matter, right? We could discuss that and dissect that another way. But just the mere fact that you get a manager in and he prioritizes the entertainment, spectacle, and the joy of the fans watching his team play football and how he sets up and how we attack games. And the multifaceted approach to games that he may take, I don't know. For me, I'd be on cloud 9 if I heard that. And if you're a Forest fan, if I was a Forest fan, I would be on cloud 9 if I heard that. And obviously the proof is in the pudding, right? Or the eating of the pudding, or whatever the phrase is. We don't know how he's going to fare. We don't know how Potter's going to fare. But if we've already got that mindset, that feeling that Potter isn't that guy, we're always going to be putting in these managers who are not that guy, then we're always on a hide into nothing. It's never going to change. So for the ownership, if they stay, and I don't want them to stay, of course, but I'm saying the reality, right? If they stay, we want change, and whoever comes in their place in the future, they're of the same mindset that we're not delivering the kind of football that we want to see, all the fan base want to see. We don't have that West Ham way, and they don't want to necessarily bring it back anytime soon. Then we're not a club. We're not a club. We're not a club. We're not a club that delivers stuff to the fan base, the fans of the club, the traditional fans of the club who want to see what we've always wanted to see. You're failing time and time again. If you appoint a manager that wants to bring that and tries, that for me ticks so many of the boxes. Win, lose or draw, if we're trying, if we can see we're trying, if the players, get on that train and want to, follow his lead, and they take it upon themselves to try and deliver that, in the likes of the Paquetas, the Bowens, who want to go forward, then if more of our players are unleashed and can take that forward as well, take that approach, then surely that's going to be the best thing for us as a club, best thing as West Ham fans, best thing as as our performance overall. Now, as I've said this before, time and time again, and hear me out, I'm not a West Ham Premier League fan. I'm just a West Ham fan. That's it. So win, lose or draw, going up, going down, over the seasons, over the many years I've supported West Ham, you're still a West Ham fan, right? You're still going to be a West Ham fan. But the type of football that we want to see, that we want to cheer on, that we want to support, through the good times, through the mediocre times, and especially through the bad times. But as long as we're still, I'm not saying we play one-dimensional football, but what I'm saying is that it's bringing that excitement back, and we've lacked that for so long. And if Potter can do that, turn it around, but this almost like be, completely changing his face. But he's got to have mass plastic surgery to all of a sudden it'll be somebody different there. It's not. This is within him. This is his kind of football. And, you come up against other opposition, and if you let them play against you, if you sit back, and if we start to crumble after we concede a goal or two, it's never going to work. But listen, hey, make small changes as you can. Whilst you're in power, Brady and Sullivan, make the small positive changes that you can. And these half and half scarvers, these fans, the problems within the stadium, that's one, but it's not going to solve everything, right? Because fundamentally we lead on the pitch. But the way you've chosen managers in recent years that haven't delivered the kind of football that we want to get excited about, that should be, the number one priority right now. The number one priority is changing the direction of the club. Now, how we do that in terms of what you need to do as owners and, chairman and vice chair of the club, what you need to do right now is either leave or hand it over to somebody else or completely change the way you are. But a leopard can't change his spots, right? You are what you are. So, especially if you think you're doing the right thing, which we don't believe you are doing the right thing. So it's got to change. Got to put pressure on the manager and the players to say, look, hey, we want this kind of football, not that kind of football. This kind of football. We've got to start listening to the fans. We've got to start engaging with the fans a lot more. My only big criticism of the fans group, fan board meeting with the club. I've got to say, I haven't looked into this too much, right? So please forgive me if I got this completely wrong. But I don't know what was actually discussed in that. I don't know the details and how long it went on for and what was actually discussed. If you know that, please let me know. And if it's on the website, I haven't looked on the website and I don't think it's on there. But why aren't these open meetings? I've all talked about this time and time again. If you want to engage with the fan base, not just certain sectors, certain groups, and that FAB doesn't talk for me. It doesn't talk for all fans, right? But you got to spread your message out to all the fans. They can ask the question, sure, but you need to speak to all fans. So why isn't this made as a video? Why don't they live link it so everybody could watch it? Why is it on their YouTube channel? Why isn't it the minutes? Somebody taking the minutes and it's there for everybody to read. Why aren't there, the questions? Why don't we know what the questions are asked and what their responses were? Why don't we know what their kind of their plan is? We should know this, right? If we're talking about open dialogue with fans and trying to win over fans, then you should talk to them. You should talk to all of us, not just them, all of us. I'd love to know what the direction of the club is right now, but the here and now is Spurs tomorrow night. That's the here and now. No half and half scarvers. No Tottenham fans amongst our fans for sure. But I want Potter to go out the front foot. I want him to be aggressive. I want him to be positive. I want him to go there. I want Paqueta to lead the line, lead the charge. I want Bowen to finish it off. If Fulkrug is not, he's even not playing or he's on the bench, I want Wilson in there and I want him to bang in 2 or 3 goals. I want us to be resolute in defence. I want us to be, push it on and, flooding the midfield and pressing every single Tottenham player when they get the ball. I want the tackles to go in. I want it to be a fierce contest. I want us as fans to get energised from the very first whistle until the 100th minute, because usually the game's gone for longer than 90 minutes, right? That's what I want. I want us to be a fan. I want all of our fans to not want to leave after 10, 20 minutes or half an hour. I want all of our fans. I want the stadium full and rocking and cheering on our team, because they're delivering a performance that we really want to follow. Do you get it, David Sullivan and Karen Brady? Do you get this, Graham Potter? Do you get this, players? Do you get what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Do you get it? Up the Hammers. I'll be at the game. Let's hope we win. And I'll certainly be cheering them on until I'm not. And then I'll probably be having a go at them, as I normally do. All right, catch you again. Bye now.